Hello friends, it's Michelle. Welcome back to my channel. And if you don't know me already, I'm a vintage loving, treasure hunting, mixed media journal maker. And I love finding new ideas, treasures, and inspiration off the beaten path. And today I am so incredibly excited to be with you today to kick off a new video series that I have been preparing and thinking about for years. Oh, I'm so excited that I could not sleep. And that's why I need a little extra coffee this morning. So this video today is just going to kick us off with sharing the idea, explaining to you exactly what we're going to be doing over the next few videos, or how many videos we create. I don't even know how many it's going to be. And hopefully you'll fall down the rabbit hole that is the lover's eye. It's a perfect time of year to be thinking about love, affection, and not just the romantic kind, the kind that is about people in our life who we just truly adore or appreciate. It could be the mysterious love, the unrequited love, all the different types of affection and love that we have in our life. It can even be the love we have for somebody who's left this world. And it's more of that remembering and that bittersweet want of being with someone that we love. So if you've been around here a little while, you know that I tend to have passion projects, rabbit holes that I fall into and explore and research, and then they turn into, I suppose we could call them a little bit obsessive, of a final project, my spin, my interpretation of something that came from a long time ago that I want to now create with. And the lover's eye is a perfect example of that. Past projects have been my botanical ink books, or my microscope project, my naturalist lap book. All of those videos are in my library, and I'll link them below. But 2024 marks my newest passion project, which is the lover's eye. I can't even tell you when this began. I don't even have a first memory. All I know is one day I saw an image similar to this, and I was intrigued. I wanted to know what exactly was I looking at. And I started exploring it, and I found out that these pieces of jewelry were called lover's eyes. And for Christmas, I received this book from my husband, and I absolutely adore it. Was the final cherry on the ice cream sundae of this project. It gave me all the background information that I was missing, and so much inspiration in these pages. So this book, while not cheap, it was a wonderful gift, and it is compiled by Ellie Shushen in 2021. And it basically talks about the history of the lover's eye, but it also has the complete catalog of lover's eyes from all over the world, and many, many different museums, but specifically from the skier collection. And this has been the final inspiration for my project, giving me ideas on how to interpret it for myself. So if you've been around here a while, you know that every passion project I have to have a little history lesson with it. Not just because I want to explain to you how I arrived at this place, but also I think it's a wonderful frame of reference so you can find your own interpretation of the project. And I hope that you will indulge me in going over a little bit of history about how lover's eyes came to be, and maybe you can find a little nugget of inspiration in there for how you want to interpret this project. So lover's eyes really weren't a thing until 1785. Now, we know, or we've heard theories, that it started before that in France, because all things fashionable seemed to start in France. But it didn't have a romantic connotation so much. It started a little bit in that French Revolution time, where the use of an eyeball was used as a symbol of "I am watching you" by the authorities. And it also had this sort of brotherhood feeling. So it wasn't a romantic gesture, but an eyeball on a ring came over to England. There was a little bit of an awareness for it, and the Prince George of Wales was the person who started the lover's eye. He fell in love with a woman named Maria Ann Fitzherberts, and she was twice divorced, and she was not the religion that was acceptable at that time for the royalty to marry, and he was forbade to marry her. And he overtly tried to court her. And she knew she could not marry him, so she moved away from him. But on her doorstep in 1785 was a package, and in that package was a commissioned piece, a small eye miniature that she knew was from Prince George. I can only imagine the feelings Maria felt upon receiving this gift. Needless to say, it worked, because they were then married in a covert ceremony sometimes later, and that may have been the moment that George won her heart. And they each exchanged during that ceremony eye miniatures because they had to keep their relationship a secret. And the mystery of that relationship, that mystery of that secret, who's behind the eye, was what drew me in. Who is behind the eye? It also began the fad that was eye miniatures that were mesmerizing, a little bit bizarre. They were part portrait, part jewelry, and they weren't just for secret lovers. They were also done for children or anyone whose gaze someone wanted with them. Keep in mind, this was before photography, when people were desperate to share a little piece of themselves with the people who they loved. They were part love token, but they could also be for your bereaved person, the person who left you early on before their time was done, and you wanted to keep a piece of them with you. Eye miniatures were used as memorials or mourning pieces, as well as pairing them with a locket of hair in the back of the created piece. It was a way of keeping that person close to you. I think they're so intimate, don't you think? So much could be communicated with the gaze. Each miniature feels precious and exceedingly intimate, though their moods range from adoring and longing, even lusty and eerily watchful. A gaze could communicate so much. The Victorians enjoyed these as expressions of their love and of their pain. A lover's eye piece with a teardrop in the corner represented the death of a loved one and the gaze they kept with them forever. Immortal even in death, and we know those crazy Victorians were obsessed with death. They were often paired with hair weaving or hair pieces in the back of the piece. This pin here has it on the front, side, and each side of the eye, but sometimes there are lockets and the hair is pieced in the back. So now that you know the history behind the lover's eyes, maybe you can understand why I am so excited about making them, replicating them, and putting my own creative junk journal twist on it. So in the future videos, we will be making lover's eyes out of all sorts of things that you probably have in your stash, book plates and die cuts and old jewelry from maybe your grandmother or mother's jewelry box, from flea market items, and even an old watch. Everything about the Victorian times had sort of like symbolism to it and a romance to it. Even some of the calling cards that hid little doorways and revealed who had visited you that day. I want to make that same feeling and projects that hit around Valentine's Day. How fun to be caught up in the romance of love, whether it's romantic love or a different kind of love, affection, friendship, and make creative gifts and projects for the people that we love in our life, or even just celebrate love in February for ourselves. So we will be making items like pins, bookmarks, book plates, and other jewelry. We'll be making journals and paper projects, and depending on your interest, let's see how far this can go. I will go over really quickly a few of the things you need so that you can start gathering your items to join me. Obviously, I will have some kits available at the beginning of this project to you. I have been curating eyes. I know that sounds very funny, but I'm going to play some video right here that talks about items that you can use from your stash, items I'll be using from my stash, and the kits that will be available. Keep in mind, I am not trying to sell you on anything. I am simply trying to invite you to do something really fun this winter with me and celebrate love. So with that, let's go over to that video and you can learn more. Okay, on my dirty, messy work table here, I'm just going to show you some of the items that I am going to use in this Lover's Eye project. First, I'll start with these little metal slides. I have some new old stock metal slides. You could also use cardboard slides. Bought these a gazillion years ago at AC Moore. They're just embellishments for paper crafting. They're a little bit like tin with some enamel, nothing too special. Then I have a book plate, just a rectangular one, and a smaller one. Then I have probably a couple little like Tim Holtz frames, you know, the little metal frames you can get. Either Tim Holtz or other brands make them as well. Here's another book plate that's oval. And then at, you know, one of the Brimfield type of things, there was a big bag of unfinished jewelry molds that I purchased with this project in mind. My stomach is rumbling. I hope that you couldn't hear that on the video. Some of them have stones, some of them don't. They're just, you know, this is just base metal, right? This is base metal, pot metal, you know, just melted down basics. It's like a little reproduction locket, probably brass, you know, probably pretty cheap little, you know, costume jewelry. This is an AO pin, which was American Optics, where my grandparents worked, probably after so many years of service, but that little tiny circle in there is interesting to me. And then these I'm looking for everywhere now. Every kind of round or oval pin that has a gem or a pearl is really what I want the most, but I haven't been able to find many of them. If I went to a flea market, I'm sure I could find some. This is the only one I could find today. I may have more somewhere hidden, but I'm just not sure where. So that is going to be a good one. And then I found this recently, this little pot metal antique pin. I love the details of it, and I think it's going to make a beautiful lover's eye. And this is a belt buckle. I can simply remove, now this is antique, so part of me, and it's marked, so I will probably not want to take anything that's marked and antique and destroy it, but this type of a shape is exactly what I'm looking for. So now you're going to see how, a little behind the scenes, a little bit of my process and how I work. Whenever I have a project like my microscope project or my test tube project, it comes from a deep interest or curiosity in something that then I fall down a rabbit hole and I do all sorts of research. And then I start wanting to make the project for myself. And in turn, during that process, I'm creating a kit or a project for you in mind. I went on public domain and I tried to find as many beautiful historic painted portraits with beautiful eyes in them to start an archive. So then I started curating eyes, beautiful eyes from the past, eyes that were available to me through public domain. And I started collecting them, printing them out, putting them in circles, not having any idea if they're the right shape or size. But the way that I work is I make something for myself that I'm passionate about or very curious about. And then in turn, hopefully making a project that will translate to you and interest you as well. So this is the first step. This is my first print off. Many of these may be way too big, and I will make notes on that so that I can then shrink them down and then decide how to make the kit as functional for me and for you. So first I did squares because I thought you never know the shape that I'm going to be cutting down. I think these are going to be way too big. Yeah, this one's probably slightly too big for this. And slightly too big for this, but it's not that bad. So I'm going to probably shrink this one maybe 10 to 15%. This one, I think, seems right on track. So this one is a check. I believe this one will be a check as well. Let's see if I put this on here. I'm going to take this off so I can see through it. Maybe tiny. I'll say a check plus a smaller one by maybe 10%. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be going around checking eyes and seeing size. So this really needs to be cut down by probably 30%. Same with this one. And that's what I will do on each sheet. These are way too big. I might cut those in half. This is one of my favorite eyes. The picture is stunning, and that is just stunning. So I'm going to keep this one and this one this shape, and then I'm also going to do one at maybe 25% down for smaller things. And then I use various frames and pieces I'll be using in the project to measure how big I want the eyes and which direction I think an eye should go. Now, I thought it would be nice just to have these eyes done in circles, and let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. I have pages and pages of eyes, and what I want to do is pick eyes that I think will translate well to this project and to other projects. And I do the same thing. I start measuring pieces and parts against the eyes. Truth be told, I probably have 15 pages of eyes, and the kit that's available in my shop now that is just eyes is not just what you're seeing here in this video, but additional eyes that I went out looking for so that I had a variety of different color skins and eye shapes for all of these projects. So you, by all means, can cut them out of a book, a magazine, you can paint your own, but I have done a lot of work curating eyes together if you want to just cut to the chase and have eyes provided for you. That kit is available in my shop now. It's called Eyes on You, and I'll put the link in the video. The eyes that made the final cut in the kit are ones that I used when I actually did the project out in the future videos that you'll see. I didn't want to put a kit out until I'd actually tried them. I tried to see how they could be used, the size, how effective they were, etc. Because they come from paintings and these are not photographs, there's different clarity on them, different skin tone. There's even like crackling from paintings that were very old. So it gives you a really big variety as of sizes, shapes, genders, skin tones, eye shape, young and old. And hopefully it will make this project a lot more easy for you to do a wide variety of lover's eyes. Now that you've seen the types of things that would be really helpful in this project, I want to mention 2 more items. I really don't want you to go out and feel like you have to spend money on all sorts of things for this project. I am going to keep the kits very affordable. I don't want you to go out and buy all sorts of trinkets. Really look around for anything that's circular or rectangular or can have an eye put in it. Be creative. Tiny little frames work great. I'm sure there are things around your house that you can use. But the one thing I would recommend purchasing if you don't have it is Mod Podge Dimensional Magic. It is basically what I always use for projects like this, where I'm trying to mimic a resin finish on the top of something. You may have resin or something that you use already, and maybe you don't find it important to use it in the project. But if there was one thing that I would purchase, it would be this. You can get this online and at all local craft stores in the United States. I'm not sure about abroad, but I'm sure you have some kind of store near you, wherever you live, that sells a similar type of product. When I make these videos, I make them mainly because it's something that really excites me. And it's something that really brings me down a creative path while also connecting me to history. And I feel like if I get this excited about something, it's probably a project that someone else will get excited too. So I hope that you will enjoy this. I offer this just because I love to share history and creativity and all things paper. And I hope that you will join me. If you find this video and this idea exciting, I hope you'll share it on social media. I'd love for as many people to join us as possible. And if you have anything that you want to share in the comments about Lover's Eyes or questions, please do so. And I will see you very soon with video number 1 or video number 2 in this series. Take care, and let's all have a romantic winter.